Mihir, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So statistics. So statistic is a branch of economics, right? In economics only there is a statistic. So in which we deal about collection, presentation, analysis, interpretation, and numerical data. So everything, this is what we are going to study in statistics. So in statistics, there are like two things. One is the plural sense and one is the singular sense. So plural sense means when I talk statistic about plural sense, it means I'm referring to numerical facts and data like population of India, literacy rate of India, employment rate, etc. Now, for singular sense, it refers to statistical method and the technique. Now, how did you got the population of India? So, through graphs, I'm representing it. This is a graph that 20% are girls, 80% are boys, like that. And then through averages, through correlation. So, plural sense means the numerical fact. But singular sense will tell you how you got that, how you are representing it, like statistical method or technique used to analyze the data. Clear?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, you'll quickly that's it.
Done.
Okay. Now, scope of statistic in economics, right? So basically, there are three types of like, okay, wait, just a minute. Okay. So now what happened actually in statistic, basically the scope, right? It plays an important role, right? So three things take place. One is the consumption, right? One is the production, right? And one is uh, the other production, consumption, and expenditure, right? So let's just understand what is important, like the scope, right? So when we talk about the scope, so statistics play an important role in understanding and analyzing economic activities. So sorry, economic. Oh. Okay, what's wrong? I can't choose eraser. Yeah. Okay. So what's wrong? I can't select it. Yeah. So analyzing economic activities, right? So let's just see consumption. So consumption refers to the use of goods and services by household or individual to satisfy their needs and wants. So when I, like for example, I wanted to have ice cream. I went out, I ate it. That is my consumption. I satisfied my want, my needs, right? So like it like the household expenditure, trend and demand and all that. No need to write this, only the consumption, right? Then example, a company may use statistics to determine which product is most preferred by the customer. Like for example, I have a bakery shop, right? In my locality, for example, everybody demands for chocolate cake. So I will try to produce chocolate cake as compared to fruit cake because more people are demanding chocolate cake, right? So depending on the consumption in my locality, I will produce according to it, right? Clear? So how consumption data basically going to help you? Consumption data is going to help you in such a way that it will help you to formulate the policies and everything, right? No need to write all of this. I'm just explaining them, right? Now then, production. So production is the process of creating goods and services using factor of production. Like by using land, you have the area where you can set up the industry. In that, you will hire the labor that is going to do work, and the capital, like the machine, is there, and the entrepreneur. So you're going to sell it, right? So everything will, these things basically is going to help you to produce something, right? And over here also like help firms and government to plan efficiently production technique, which technique we are going to use. We are going to use a labor intensive production, or we are going to use capital intensive, like that, right? So that is called production. Clear? Any doubt in this? These two?
No.
No? Okay. Then there is something called distribution, right? So let's just understand distribution. So distribution is in economic refers to how income, wealth, and resources are shared among different sections of the society, right? So role of statistics in inequality in income and wealth, regional disparities, gender or caste-based income differences, employment and wage levels, right? All this is a distribution. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are not going to write everything. You are just going to write this. Consumption, the definition, production, the definition, and then the distribution, the definition. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Done. Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now the distribution. Okay.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's just talk about the next features. Okay. So the next feature is basically like what are the functions of statistic. Okay. So let's just discuss functions. So it's very simple. Simplify complex data, right? If you draw it through tables or chart or graph, of course it's simplified. Then help in comparison. So you can easily compare, right? And help in forecasting. So according to the demand and other thing, you can forecast. Okay. And then help in policy formulation, like government and businessmen. And test economic laws, like law of demand and all that. Because of statistics, these things are possible.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's just move to the importance of statistic. Okay. So why do you think that the statistic is important? Like why we are studying this, right? So the first, it provides the base for planning a policy. If you know the data of an area, so it will help you to plan and the policy accordingly. Support the decisions making like the with logical analysis, right? And helps in understanding economic problems, right? So what are the problems in the, like for example, if you say that a literacy rate is 20%, so you will say that okay, we need to make plans related to education and enable the prediction of the future events and assist in measuring the performance like GDP productivity, GDP growth, and everything. So that's why statistic is very, very important.
Done.
Okay. Now there is something called a limitation of statistics. Of course, not statistic is good all the time, right? There are some limitations as well. So does not study qualitative aspect like honesty. How would you compare that a person is honest? How would you compare that a person is intelligent, right? How would you compare that that person is beautiful, right? So few of the qualitative aspects you cannot measure due to with the help of statistics. So that's the one reason can be misused. If you give the wrong data, automatically entire interpretation would be wrong. And only on means, not on the end. So cannot solve the problem alone. You need different criteria to solve it. Alone statistic cannot solve all the problems. And results can be misleading without proper analysis. If you don't do the proper analysis, for example, let's say, mm, like for example, let's just say that in COVID, right? Like COVID came in 2019, right? So if you look at the data of death rate in India, let's just say for only India, right? So it was very high, right? So even like for example, I gave you the data of 2019 and you saw that okay, a lot of people are dying and you said that India health structure is poor. You gave that interpretation. But is this a case? No. In that year, basically the pandemic hit, right? And because of that, the death rate were increasing. So if you don't know the proper analysis, the reason behind that, right? You would interpret that India health infrastructure is not good. But if you look overall data average of last 3 years or something like that, then you will find that India medical treatments are really good. India is very good in the health sector, right? But if you look only for the data without the proper analysis, then of course it will be misleading. Clear?
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this is very important. And all the chapters that you are going to do in statistics, they are this chapters. So statistical tool, collection of data, primary and the secondary data, organization of data, array, frequency table, presentation of data, tabular, diagrammatic and graphical, and then measures of central tendency, mean, median and mode, measure of depression, dispersion, range, variance, standard deviation, correlation, relationship between two variable, index number, measuring changes in the variable over time. These are covered in the book, like all the chapters, right? These are the tools. So you'll just write it down. So every time we are going to do a chapter, that is a tool of statistics. Okay.
Done.
Okay. 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 What is the relationship statistic in economics? Right? Let's just discuss that. So economics studies human behavior in relation to scarce resources. Statistics help to understand economic variable like price and demand, analysis the trend and changes over time, and support the empirical testing of the economic theory. So this is the relationship that why statistics were included in economics because of this reason, right? Because economics studies human behavior in relation to scarce resources. This is economics, and statistic is basically helping you to understand how these variable, like you have to study the relationship between like goods and human. So if humans are demanding for goods, that means you need to increase the quantity of goods. So how you are getting it? Through statistic only you are getting it, right? And even through analysis of trend, like in summer season, more people demand for summer clothes. In winter season, more people demand for sweaters, not in summer season. So you are getting through statistic, right? And that's how you are like accumulating the things and you are responding.